Hi everybody, I'm Karee. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I want to ask you, first you're probably wondering, why is this girl on here with her hair looking crazy? It's not really looking crazy, it's a process. So let's talk about that. I want to talk about the process. And I'm going to use my hair as an example. If you know me, then you know I'm a person of faith. And you know I try to rely and do my best to rely on God to reveal whatever it is He wants to reveal to me through prayer and through time that I spend with Him. Well, I want to hop on him and talk about a few things to share what God has been sharing with me, and hopefully it'll be a blessing to somebody who hears it. So if you like what you're hearing, don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe, and share it with other people in your sphere of influence or your sphere or circle, family, friends. It doesn't matter age, because my content is Christian based, because I am a Christian and I strive to inspire somebody in some way, or maybe just share what God has been sharing with me. If you're human and not a robot, maybe you're in the waiting process of your life for something. Some may be waiting on the pandemic to end. Some may be waiting on, maybe it's a new job, a spouse, a house, or for pain to end. Whatever it is, you're waiting. You're in that process. It's not there yet. It hasn't arrived yet. You haven't seen it yet, but you know that it's coming. Well, I want to inspire you for some ways, as God has used many to show me or remind me who God is. Let me ask you, what's your purpose on earth? Like, what's your purpose? I'm not talking about your job. I'm not talking about any of those things. But if you're like me, then you know it isn't just stuff for, although those things are good, it's not to just get stuff. Our purpose isn't about stuff. All those things are nice and they're great. But our purpose is to worship God and give glory to Him in the earth and everything we do. I will let you figure out what that looks like. That's between you and God, not me. But I just want to share with you what that looks like for me, or what the process, what I'm talking about. If you're like me, you know, in the midst of worshiping God, He may allow us to acquire those things. Like, He may allow us to have a spouse, a car, a house, whatever those earthly things are for that purpose. But as I woke up earlier today, I thought about this hair. You know, it's pretty long, as you can see. And I just wanted to have a moment of transparency. Well, I'm like, my hair is awesome. It can be curly and it can defy gravity. It can be long like this. Thick, but not super thick, but diverse. So my hair is awesome to me. And that's, however, it can take a long time to do and make it like I like. Although it's fine any way I chose. Like, if I just leave it like this and put it up or do something with it, it's fine. But because that's my hair, that's what God has given me with. But I'm using my hair as an example, and I left it like this on purpose. But however, it may take a long time to do my hair. Like, I want to remind you, just like the process, it takes a long time to get to those goals or acquire that thing or whatever it is. You know, you got to understand God has a process, and there's nothing wrong with the process. But however, it can take a long time. In the waiting process, and you're like, nothing is happening. Well, let me assure you, something is happening even in the process. When it seems like you're not moving, process, whatever that process looks like for you, it's happening. Well, recently I joined a sister, not spelled the same way that the word is spelled, but sister circle that is faith-based. So, and it's also facilitated by Kiara Shear. And there's one thing she said that sticks out. If you don't know who Kiara Shear is, I highly recommend you go Google her. I recommend that you look up her music, but she wears many hats, and from what I can see, she's wearing them well. She's doing it well. But the sister program, last month we talked about something that allowed us to look at the process a little differently. Last month we talked about the butterfly, how it becomes that. Like, when we see a butterfly, there was a process before it became a butterfly. Think about it. It's happening, and even when we don't see the process of that change happening, something is happening. First is an egg, then it's a caterpillar, then it's a pupa, then it's in a transition of becoming an adult. And then when we see the butterfly, as an adult, it's beautiful. It has all the colors. It's perfect. Even though it may not last long, it's still perfect. But it has a process. So what have you been praying for? The dream job, or maybe you're like, okay, it's nothing happening. The dream, it seems like that dream job or circumstance isn't changing, or are you changing? Sometimes the process is changing you. And through that process, God is allowing you to trust Him. And are you trusting while you're waiting on to see the finished product? Think about the children of Israel before they got to the promised land. Those that went into the promised land, they were in the wilderness. But there were still great things happening in the wilderness. There were things that were happening that many were like, why would they go through that? They experienced eating food from heaven, from the hand of God, while in that process of waiting to get to the promised land. Some may have fallen away, but it's okay. My point is to make you understand, or help you understand, that the process is oftentimes uncomfortable. But yet it's just like the butterfly. It's a beautiful thing because the end result is beautiful. So while you're waiting, don't overlook the idea of the process. And then I want to, if I said I was faith-based, I'm probably going to give you scripture, right? Well, if you take a look at Genesis 16, it starts the process of Hagar having a child that God did not want as a promised child to Sarah. But look at how Sarah jumped the gun. She jumped the gun and she went ahead of God. And God may allow us to jump the gun. Sometimes you may get a job that you're saying, I'm just going to accept this job because it looks like what I'm looking for. Or while I'm waiting, I'm in that process. Or maybe you're on a job that you're like, can I just have the job that I'm qualified for? It's easy breezy, lemon squeezy, all of that stuff. But God is saying, no, while you're in the job that you are ready to clock out, or while you're in the pandemic and you're ready to get out, or maybe you're in a circumstance where you're like, I'm ready for this to change, and it's not changing. I want you to understand that in that, just like my hair may take a process, I gotta wash it, I gotta detangle it, I gotta, if I'm wearing like this, I'm obviously gonna curl it, or something of that nature. But at the same time, it's a process. Sarah, she was really, if you look at Genesis chapter 16, she went ahead of God. But then in 18, Sarah's way past the childbearing age. So not only is she past the childbearing age, she's in a state where she's like, God, that's not going to happen, because she's doubting. So who are we trusting? Who are you trusting that you're like, that's not possible, it's not going to happen? Well, God says, trust in the Lord in all thy heart and lean not unto thy own understanding. That's in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Chapter 3, verse 5 and 6. You can check it out on your own time. But I want you to understand something. Like Sarah, many of us get ahead of God. We go ahead and we do things on our own that God didn't tell you to do. He didn't tell you to get in that crazy relationship. He didn't tell you to buy that house because you were paying attention to somebody else who said you can afford it. Or he didn't tell you to want to get out of the pain situation. Maybe you lost a loved one and you're like, when will this pain end? Enjoy the process of God healing your heart. Enjoy the process of God taking you to that next level. Because although we're here to worship God in everything we do, and everything we say, and everything has to do, something has to do with God, it's to show God glory, or give glory to God. And then the other thing I want you to take a look at Genesis chapter 18. It wasn't until chapter 18 that Sarah begins the process of hearing that God was going to give her that promised child. And then it's not until maybe even later that chapter 21, where just like my hair may take a while to be presentable to me or to somebody else, things change or happen. I didn't just wash my hair. I didn't just wake up like this. Well, today I did, but I didn't wake up like this completely. I had to wash it first. I had to condition it first. I had to comb it. There were stages to that. So in spite of you saying, or in spite of what doesn't look like it's changing, should I say, things are happening. Things are changing in the process. think, and there's something beautiful in the moving and changing as God designed you to be moving. And just walk with him. Like, just walk with God through that process. Enjoy the process. Don't just say, I can't wait to get to this point. Well, before you got to the door of your house, you had to come out of your bedroom. So get moving and get adjusted and keep moving, and don't stop because the process gets hard. Don't stop because the process gets annoying. Don't stop because it doesn't look like it's changing. Like the butterfly, something is always changing. Change happens even when it's not seemingly moving. And I want to leave you with the story of Abraham and Sarah, who producing a child, or even being told they would have one, started Genesis 16, and you really could go to like Genesis 21, where the story unfolds. But trust God's time, and that's really what I want to leave you with that particular story. And then if you learn something different, skim through the Bible and get to Ruth's story. Take a look at her and Naomi. There's a process there as well, where Ruth stuck with her mother-in-law well after her mate had passed, and thus she received her Boaz. She stuck in the hard part where there was grief and there was loss and there was pain and there was wandering through a land that she's not familiar with. Sometimes God will take you on a journey that you're not familiar with that territory, but it doesn't mean to hop out of the boat and just abandon the ship. No, stay in the boat. I'm not talking about the other story that I could be talking about, but Ruth stuck with her mother-in-law. She said, I will serve the same God you serve. But check that story out as well. And she receives her Boaz. Don't be in a rush to get to the promised land. Enjoy the journey of the wilderness because it's beauty in it. During this pandemic, I have fallen in love with learning new things, such as learning 2 instruments. One of them is the piano, and one of them is the guitar. I'm not a Lenny Kravitz. I'm not a Twinkie Clark. I'm not a Mozart. I'm not a any of those people. But or Jonathan McReynolds. But one thing I can say about all of those people I just named, no matter the genre of music, I want you to pay attention to something. Jonathan McReynolds had to practice something. So if I don't cultivate and understand there's levels to the skill that I'm trying to get at, maybe it's not to be where they are in that sense, but God will take you where he wants you if you spend time and cultivate what you're doing in that process. Whatever it is, make steps. So if it's a new job, make steps to get the new job. If it's a new lesson you're learning, make steps to make that lesson where you can master it. Well, I can name those people because they have mastered. Now, they could always get better, but when I take Twinkie Clark Terrell, she's mastered this organ. Where anyone in the world who has heard her, if you don't know who that is, Google it and don't tell me about it. Just listen to the music. But if you know anything about those artists, you would know that they spend time in their craft. They had to cultivate something. They had to learn something. So I just want you to take the time with the process. Enjoy the process. Don't rush the process. Find the beauty in the process. And just take the time to learn what God is doing in that time, in this season. Because many of us are rushing everything. Because we've been maybe in the house too long or whatever it is. But also consult with the Lord in prayer. Because he can direct you and say, well, wait, don't go down this road. Go down this road. He would direct my steps. If I'm playing the guitar or the keyboard, I'm learning music theory and I'm learning the number system and I'm enjoying that. But in order for me to get to the level where I can play those songs that I hear or create songs, I have to understand the arrangement of the chords on either instrument. And I have to enjoy. Sometimes you're going to hear ping. Sometimes you're going to have hurting fingers. Sometimes it's not going to sound melodic. It may sound like noise. But I have to cultivate and trust the process of just spending a little time with it. Take the steps and you will get to where you need to get to. Let him direct your steps. So I can let him direct my heart or direct my passion or whatever it is. Let him direct you in the process. There's always something to enjoy. And then I want to talk to you a little bit. I'm not going to make this long because I'm starting to get tired of my own voice. But I just want to share with you. I'll won't show the finished product of my hair, but I'll do it in another video. But I want to leave you with the idea of it might not be perfect, but it will be the blessing for you that God has for you. Whatever the process looks like for you, whatever you're waiting on God to do, whatever you consulted God in prayer about, whatever you said to him about, you have to trust the process of knowing that he can handle it and he can direct your steps. Don't lean on your own understanding. Seek the Lord in prayer. Spend time with what he's saying to you. Like, spend time in his word. Just dive into it and you'll see his plan. Just like the butterfly, it didn't become a butterfly overnight. Just like Ruth, she didn't meet Boaz overnight. She actually went through a painful process. But then there was glory at the end of it all. Or just like Sarah, she may have jumped the gun. However, when she jumped the gun, she simply, at some point, God showed her his process. And she had to accept that. So, stick with God. I just want to encourage you to don't jump out the boat too soon. Enjoy the process and know that there's change in the process, even when you don't see that things are changing. So, that's all. So, like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe. And then leave a comment and share it with whoever that you feel impressed to share it with. So, have a good day. Peace.